Cooper, you remind me today of a small Mexican chihuahua. Can I speak to you a moment in private, Coop?
Of course, Gordon.
Some artists tell stories. Even fewer still build worlds within those stories. David Lynch does something even stranger still. He constructs a cosmology. In an age that prides itself on being secular, rational, and empirical, Lynch reintroduces what cultural theorist Mircea Eliade describes as the sacred breaking through the crust of the modern in the 1957 book, The Sacred and the Profane. He reminds us that myth never actually died, it only changed form. And perhaps nowhere is this clearer than in his series Twin Peaks, a work that, despite its soap opera surface, is structured with the density, logic, and spiritual weight of the mythic cycle. Today, we're going to explore Lynch not just as a filmmaker, not even just as a surrealist, and not even as an auteur, but as what scholar Martha Noakism calls a mythographer of the postmodern world. A maker of modern legends, a builder of a living cosmology. This is the story of how David Lynch resurrected myth in a world that had forgotten it, a world that desperately needed it back. Let us begin. Myth, as Joseph Campbell writes in The Hero with a Thousand Faces, is not merely an old story. It is a technology for meaning, a blueprint by which a society understands the cosmos, the sacred and the profane, good and evil, death and rebirth, and the price of transgression. This is what makes a myth universal. And yet, in modern society, we lacked shared stories of cosmic order. As Jean Balliard argues, postmodernity erases the grand narratives that once structured life. Reality blurs into simulation. But Lynch does something strange. He reverses this. Scholar Todd McGowan notes in the 2007 work, The Impossible David Lynch, Lynch restores the metaphysical weight of the universe through mystery, ritual, and moral consequence. In other words, Lynch put myth back into the world. Now we arrive at the forest. Twin Peaks, on its surface, is of course a murder mystery, but the deeper structure is mythic. Scholars like David Lavery have argued that Twin Peaks is an American epic, built on ritual, sacred geography, and spiritual beings. If you examine the components, the mythic architecture becomes impossible to ignore. Let's break it down. In any good myth, gods are not always benevolent. They are instead forces. The same is true, of course, in Twin Peaks. Bob, Judy, the experiment, the woodsman. These beings function like gods of chaos, similar to trickster or devouring deities in ancient myth. Like the Furies in Greek myth, they punish transgression. Like the Aztec underworld gods, they feed on human suffering. And like the Mesopotamian demons, they possess and corrupt. Scholar Jeffrey Andrew Weinstock described Bob as a mythic embodiment of pure appetite. In Lynch's world, evil is not psychological, it is ontological. Conversely, the Fireman, Senorita Dido, the Giant, and the One-Armed Man, they all echo the divine helpers from ancient mythic traditions. Their gifts are cryptic, never direct. They must be interpreted, just like the gods in classical mythology. Lynch has restored a moral universe where the divine does still speak, it just so happens to speak in riddles. Myths all have sacred spaces, like Mount Olympus, the Ganges, or Sinai. In Twin Peaks, that sacred space is the forest. Scholars like Catherine Spooner have called the Twin Peaks woods a numinous site, where the boundaries of the natural and the supernatural collapse. The woods acts as a portal, a threshold, even a temple without walls. This is classic mythological structure. The forest is a liminal zone between the human and the divine. Myth also always involves ritual of some kind. In Twin Peaks, ritual is everywhere. It's from the chanting to the circular movements, fire as consecration, or electricity as spiritual medium. There are objects as talismans, and the sacrifice of Laura Palmer above all else. Critic Martha No Chisholm identifies Lynch's rituals as reenactments of ancient, often forgotten spiritual technologies. Ritual, in Lynch's world, reveals alignment or misalignment with cosmic order. And this brings us to the heart of the myth. Every good myth has a center of sacrifice. In Greek tragedy, it's Iphigenia. In the Nordic myths, Odin's self-sacrifice. And in Lynch's mythology, it is Laura Palmer. Scholar Christopher Sherritt argues that Laura's murder functions like the foundational sacrifice of a mythic society. Her death creates the conditions for the revelation of the hidden world. Laura is the maiden, the victim, the chosen one, and the redeemer, all wrapped into one. She is both saint and sacrifice. As the angelic ending of The Fire Walk with Me suggests, Laura's suffering becomes transfigured. She becomes the light and blinds the darkness. Lynch builds an entire cosmology around one girl's death, and that's myth, unmistakably so. What is the cosmic order in Lynch's universe? According to McGowan, it's this. Suffering is the fuel of evil. Love is the only counterforce. The cosmos is a battleground between those two forces. This is mythic dualism. The Black Lodge feeds on pain. The White Lodge intervenes when compassion is invoked. Humans mediate that balance. And sometimes, as in classical myths, that order collapses. Twin Peaks: The Return is about a universe where cosmic maintenance has failed. This is comparable to the myth cycles in which gods retreat or fall silent. As scholar Francesco Stici writes, Lynch's cosmology represents the exhaustion of a universe no longer capable of sustaining itself. Myth has returned, but is broken. Dale Cooper is the hero of our story. He is the classic Campbellian seeker. But David Lynch rewrites the hero's journey. Instead of victory, return, and restoration, Cooper's journey becomes failure, return, disintegration. This is deeply mythological, in the sense of the tragic hero cycles where hubris unravels destiny. Cooper tries to rewrite fate. He tries to save Laura. He interferes with the foundational myth, and the cosmos fractures as such. This recalls what Eliade warned. Breaking the sacred order has catastrophic consequences. Lynch brings myth into modernity and then shows us what happens when we tamper with it. Let's zoom out a bit. What does it mean to call David Lynch a myth maker? According to Lavery, Lynch restores mystery to a culture that pretends to have killed it. According to McGowan, he reanimates the metaphysical kernel of narrative. And according to Nokism, he builds symbolic structures that operate like mythic temples. Lynch creates gods, cosmic laws, ancestral spirits, sacred places, symbolic rituals, sacrifices, heroes that fail, and worlds that reset. That is myth-making, not storytelling. And Lynch does it inside of a television show. So why does this all matter now? Because we live in a world, algorithmic, disenchanted, fractured, where many people feel spiritually rootless. Myth gives us structure. It gives us consequence. It gives us the sense that life is a part of something larger than the self. Twin Peaks offers that return. In Lynch's mythology, mystery binds us. Suffering does matter. Love radiates cosmically. Evil is real. The invisible world shapes the visible one. Death is not the end, and we exist in a cosmic story. And whether or not we believe in the Lodge, we feel the weight of its symbolism. Lynch gives us back what is sacred. So what does it mean to say that David Lynch has returned myth to the modern world? It means he has done something that artists across history once considered their highest calling. He has rebuilt the architecture of the sacred. He has given us a cosmology complete with gods and demons. He has mapped out a moral universe, has shown us the price of transgression and the power of love. He has placed a sacrificial figure at the center of a modern epic, and he has given us ritual, prophecy, destiny, and rebirth. Through Twin Peaks, David Lynch reminds us that myth is not a relic, it is a living force. And perhaps his greatest revelation is this: we are the dreamers, and we are also the dreamed. Myth was never gone. It was only waiting for someone, strange enough, courageous enough, intuitive enough, to bring it back. And David Lynch brought it back. And we're still learning how to live inside of it.